and safe. The National Dairy Farm Farmers Assuring Responsible Management program that you are all participating in demonstrates dairy farmers' ongoing commitment to the highest standards, shows consumers that they are doing what's right for the cows, for the customers, and for consumers. At the same time, more than ever before, consumers are interested in knowing more about how their food is grown and raised, and they have some concerns. The 2014 study by Sullivan, Higdon, and Sync Food Think revealed that 67% of consumers are concerned about animal antibiotics, and 66% are concerned about animal hormones and animal treatment. This is being addressed by the farm program and each of you every day as you care for your animals on the farm. Consumer concern is something to keep in the back of your minds as you think about residue avoidance, as consumers are the end game. They buy and consume our delicious products. Without their confidence, we don't have a market for our products. Today we are going to focus on responsible use of animal medicine and residue avoidance in the next 40 or so minutes. We'll walk through 5 steps to success in any residue prevention program. These include, number 1, a VCPR, veterinarian client-patient relationship, with the VOR, the veterinarian of record. Number 2, a written herd health program. Number 3, written protocols for prevention and treatment, along with best management practices. Number 4, employee training. And number 5, record keeping. The first step, as required under Farm 3.0, the farm has a written VCPR, or a veterinary client-patient relationship. The relationship with the farm veterinarian is crucial to safeguarding animal care, and we're going to talk a lot about this important partnership today. The veterinarian client-patient relationship, again known as a VCPR, is one of the cornerstones of the farm program. To correctly diagnose, treat, and prevent disease, dairy farmers must establish a VCPR with a licensed veterinarian of record, also known as the VOR. According to the American Veterinary Medical Association, a VCPR means that the following requirements are met. The veterinarian has assured the responsibility of making medical judgments regarding the health of the patient, and the client has agreed to follow the veterinarian's instruction. Number 2, the veterinarian is readily available for follow-up evaluation or has arranged for veterinary coverage and continuing care and treatment. Number 3, the veterinarian provides oversight of treatment, compliance, and outcome. And last but not least, patient records are maintained. Dairy producers are encouraged to consult and review the treatment protocols and antibiotic stewardship principles or programs, including the American Association of Bovine Practitioners Guidance for Establishing and Maintaining the VCPR in Bovine Practice, and the National Dairy Farm Program Milk and Dairy Beef Drug Residue Prevention Manual with their veterinarians. The next step is foundational. A written herd health plan developed in consultation with the veterinarian of record to prevent, treat, and monitor incidents of common diseases. This is also required under Farm 3.0. The Farm 2016 Milk and Dairy Beef Drug Residue Prevention Manual of Best Practices, the Best Management Practices, stresses that an effective written herd health plan emphasizes prevention, rapid diagnosis, and quick decision-making on necessary treatment of all sick or injured dairy cattle on the farm. Even with the best prevention practices, animals can become sick or injured, and judicious and responsible use of antimicrobials under veterinary supervision may be necessary to improve the health outcome of the animal. The herd health plan should be reviewed and updated annually or more often as needed. As part of the written herd health plan are written treatment protocols that specify age, class, product, and route of administration to ensure food safety, including proper milk and meat withholding times. Under Farm 3.0, the dairy also has written protocols that are developed in consultation with the herd veterinarian for culling and transporting dairy animals to slaughter. All three of these things, a VCPR, a herd health plan, and written protocols to prevent and treat disease are vital to any residue prevention program on the farm. Through this important partnership with the veterinarian, the dairy ownership/management works with the veterinarian of record to develop vaccination protocols to prevent disease and treatment protocols to ensure antimicrobials are used correctly and judiciously. Beginning with prevention, work with your veterinarian and utilize disease incidence information, herd health records, diagnostic reports, and other available information to develop vaccination protocols to prevent disease. Your veterinarian can help you develop protocols for, number one, vaccination and prevention of disease, two, treatment of disease to ensure antibiotics are used appropriately and judiciously, three, maintaining an inventory of animal health products approved for use on the dairy, four, with residue prevention, and five, milk procedures to protect milk quality and other protocols as well. These should be reviewed on a regular basis. A sound management program will also include best practices and programs to minimize the use of antibiotics. For instance, mastitis prevention and milk quality programs. Employee training is also required under Farm 3.0 for anyone with animal care responsibilities, and it is particularly important as we discuss residue avoidance. Make sure to train new and current employees on a routine basis and utilize your veterinarian to help. Make sure employees know how to identify treated animals and safely handle them to prevent inadvertent milk or meat residues. They should know how to properly record drug use, also discuss implications of positive residue tests in marketing adulterated milk and/or meat with the employees. Visual and hands-on training will improve employee understanding. Consider monthly meetings to review an SOP. Remind employees that if they make a mistake, tell someone as soon as possible so a potential residue violation can be avoided. Your partnership with the herd veterinarian is an important one. The veterinarian will conduct routine herd checks, develop a herd health plan, and prevention and treatment protocols, in addition to providing oversight of treatment, compliance, and outcome. He or she will also develop a list of recommended or approved drugs for use with your animals and help ensure all antibiotics and other drugs are properly labeled. They can also assist with training. To review the first 4 steps we've covered, step 1 is you need a valid VCPR, veterinary client-patient relationship, with your veterinarian of record or VOR. We reviewed you need a written herd health plan, in addition to written protocols for prevention and treatment, along with best management practice. And number 4, we need employee training, always a vital step. Now let's move on to preventing residues and record keeping. What we'd like to do next is talk about preventing antibiotic and drug residues. The Grade A Pasteurized Milk Ordinance, also known as PMO, the rules which state regulatory agencies use to implement their Grade A milk programs, require that all bulk milk tankers be sampled and analyzed for beta-lactam drug residues before the milk is processed. Customers, like processors, may also require additional testing for quality assurance purposes. Any tanker found positive for beta-lactam residue is rejected for human consumption. I'm sure everyone on this call is aware of what happens when a tanker is positive. The milk is dumped at a considerable cost to the cooperative and the dairy farmers. You can see from this chart that the dairy industry is moving in the right direction. In 1996, 0.104% of milk tested positive. From October 2013 to September 2014, only 0.014% tested positive for drug residues. This signifies a dramatic decrease from an already low level of occurrence. To put the 0.014 further in perspective for you, the FSIS HACCP program implemented at slaughter facilities identified the animals most likely to have drug residues. Animals that display lameness, injection site reactions, or signs of illness are targeted for testing. This diagram highlights the prevalence of drug residues in cull dairy cows in the one-year period between April 2014 and March 2015. According to the Farm 2016 Milk and Dairy Beef Drug Residue Prevention Producer Manual of Best Management Practices, each year nearly 3 million adult dairy cows are slaughtered for beef, and a very small percentage test positive for residues. USDA inspectors are instructed to look for animals that present a possible risk to the food supply and look for signs of disease or recent administration of animal health products to determine if an animal should be subjected to additional testing and possible removal from the food chain. The two top drug residues found in that 0.014% residues are desfuryl ceftiofur and penicillin. If there is any doubt about the potential of a drug residue in an animal, they should be withheld from the market. Farm 3.0 requires that each animal is permanently identified and that permanent, easily accessible drug treatment records are maintained that denote how all drugs were used and disposed. So what information should you record? Important animal health information that should be recorded are vaccination dates, parasite control measures, blood tests and veterinary treatments, including treatment dates, names of medications, amount and route of administration, in addition to surgical procedures performed, condition diagnosed and being treated, and veterinary clinic information. All of this is information that needs to be recorded. As outlined in the 2016 Milk and Dairy Beef Drug Residue Prevention Producer Manual of Best Management Practices, working with your veterinarian, treatment records should be updated daily and include animal identification, recommended treatment plan, treatment dates, individual administering the drug, drug used, the dosage, the route of administration and expected duration, withdrawal time for meat and milk, and duration of therapy. I cannot stress enough that label directions should always be followed, including indications and use of drug, dose, route of administration, storage of the medicine, and meat and milk withdrawal times. Review treatment records and label information with your veterinarian on a regular basis. Work with your veterinarian to also maintain a drug inventory record, including 1, drugs approved for use on the farm, 2, when and where they were purchased, 3, when they were placed in inventory, including lot and/or serial number and who placed them in the inventory, and number 4, when the drugs were checked out for use, including lot and/or serial number and who checked them out. Remember, keep copies of all package inserts and labels for all products used. Keep medicated feeds separate from non-medicated feeds, and document all drug disposal, the product, quantity, date disposed, and the reason for its use. Under Farm 3.0, record keeping is required, and effective record keeping shows compliance with animal identification, disease prevention and control, employee training, inventory control, residue withdrawal and avoidance, and disposal. Under Farm 3.0, the dairy adheres to all withdrawal times for milk and meat, and in the last 3 years has not been subject to any milk or tissue residue violations. To further help you avoid residue violations, the Farm 2016 Milk and Dairy Beef Drug Residue Prevention Producer Manual of Best Management Practices includes a risk assessment inspectors can use to aid them in discovering residue violations. You can also use this tool as a guide. For instance, low risk includes documented animal history is recorded and available. Animal was never treated with drugs or a single drug administration of lactating or non-lactating animal approved drug, and followed labeled for dose, route of administration, duration of therapy, and withholding time, or the veterinarian oversight of the use of drugs in an extra-label manner. High risk includes the following: the animal is displaying lameness, injection site reactions, surgical evidence, or looks sick, and any of the following: history of animal treatment not documented or communicated to person sending the cow to market. Route of administration used is not as prescribed on the label. Multiple drug administration without veterinary oversight. Drug not approved for animal status, i.e. lactating. Doses or withholding times not followed or unknown. Duration of therapy not followed. So when in doubt, inspectors hold it out. You should too. So let's walk through some of the underlying causes of residues. According to the Farm Milk and Dairy Beef Drug Residue Manual, drug residues can be avoided by a well-planned drug use program. Reasons for milk and meat residues result from many on-farm situations and may include, but are not limited to, the following: lack of consultation from licensed veterinarian, not following veterinarian's recommendations when using any of the drugs, not following the manufacturer or veterinarian prescribed label directions for appropriate withdrawal period, poor identification of the cattle, accidentally milking a treated cow into the bulk tank or not diverting from the bulk tank, long-term residue following treatment as a calf, and use of medicated milk replacers in calves that may be sold for human consumption. The 2016 Farm Milk and Dairy Beef Drug Residue Prevention Manual has checklists that you can use on your farms to avoid residues that go into greater detail. But for today, I wanted to walk through 10 steps that the farm program outlines to avoid residues in milk or beef. And these are 10 great steps to always refer back to and keep in your mind. Number 1, establish a valid VCPR, another veterinary client-patient relationship, to ensure proper diagnosis and treatment of disease. Keep records of antibiotic use and identify all treated animals, including treatment protocols. Implement a preventive animal health program to reduce the incidence of disease. Maintain milk quality and implement an effective mastitis management program to reduce the use of antibiotics, including protocol development and review. Implement employee training and awareness of proper drug use. Discuss implications of positive residue tests in marketing adulterated milk and/or meat. Use drugs approved for specific disease indications according to labeled recommendations and withdrawal periods. Do not use drugs that are specifically prohibited for use in milking, dry, or growing animals. Segregate and milk treated animals after or in a separate facility from all non-treated animals to ensure that milk is not accidentally commingled. Use drug residue screening tests specific for the drug utilized before marketing milk or meat from treated animals. And if in doubt about residue status, do not market milk and/or dairy beef from treated animals. In that manual, you will also find an extensive list of animal health products available, along with withholding time based on information provided by the animal health manufacturers. If you haven't looked at the manual, I would suggest you get a copy, as it has a variety of resources, including a VCPR template and other templates for record keeping that you can use. Merck Animal Health also has tools to help you, starting with our Residue Avoidance and Awareness Program Toolkit. This kit includes laminated product posters, magnets, shelf stickers, inventory move-in and move-out sheets, employee training modules available in both Spanish and English with a test that anyone who takes it can take at the end of the modules, and a certificate that can be printed out for them, and sales support from our sales team. As mentioned, the residue prevention kit includes posters in English and Spanish that prominently display withdrawal times, as you can see here with the glass of milk and the steak on the grill. It also has package inserts on the back of each one of these posters that are in Spanish and English for easy access. Magnets can be used to uphold product posters, and the shelf stickers can be used to identify shelves that contain products for this specific class of animal. As you can see, lactating cows only, non-lactating cows, or animals under 20 months of age. We also have drug inventory move-out, move-in record-keeping sheets in Spanish and English to help you keep track of the product movement, as we discussed earlier in this webinar. So you know what's moving on to your operation, it can all be documented, and you know what's being disposed. Documentation of training for all new and existing employees with animal care responsibilities and stockmanship, as well as their assigned animal care responsibilities such as calf care, euthanasia, non-ambulatory cow management, etc., at least on an annual basis, is required under Farm 3.0. Merck Animal Health offers training in these areas through the Dairy Care 365 Animal Handling video training series, as you've heard about in previous webinars. 7 training videos are available and offered in both Spanish and English, with a quiz at the end to measure employee understanding of the material. A certificate can be printed for employee records. These videos feature real on-farm settings to provide a realistic representation of how cows behave and react to their surroundings. Through these videos, employees learn how to work with the dairy cattle safely and effectively. The training is available online at dairycare365.com, nationaldairyfarm.com, or you can talk to your Merck Animal Health sales representative if you're interested in obtaining copies of these modules. In summary, let's review some very key things. First, 5 steps to success begin with partnership with your herd veterinarian. You need a VCPR with a VOR. In other words, a valid client-patient relationship, as you heard us say, with a veterinarian of record. Herd health plan is critical. Written protocols, employee training, and record keeping. Residue avoidance and prevention is the responsibility of the entire dairy industry. Assess your risk and minimize it. Work with your veterinarian and follow the label. Implement a preventive health program to reduce drug incidence. Keep good records. Train your employees. And if in doubt, hold it out. Utilize resources available to you from farm and industry partners. So with that, I'd like to say thank you for your time, and I'll turn it over to Beverly here. If you have any questions, we'd be glad to entertain them. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Dr. Stewart. And now if you have any questions, if you'll look to the right of your screen, it gives you the option to type in Q&A. It says Q&A, and you can actually type in your question there. We do have one, Dr. Stewart, do you know of any resource online that, or a collection that somehow digitally that holds withdrawal times where it would be maybe a little bit more accessible than having the large drug residue manual?
Yes, Beverly. There's it's a very nice app that anybody can download on their smartphone. It's called the Compendium for Veterinary Products. If someone goes to the App Store and just types in Compendium for Veterinary Products, it's available online. They can get that app for free, and it'll be on their smartphone. And the beauty with that app is any of the drug manufacturers who are listed in there, and virtually all of them are, anytime they come up with a new product, as soon as they get that information to the Compendium for Veterinary Products, it is updated within 24 hours, so it is very current. And it's very nice. It has when you type in the name of the product, the name of the manufacturer, the name of the active ingredient, there are a lot of ways you can access product information. But you can pull up the label and everything's in there, copies of, all that information for meat withdrawals, milk withdrawals, proper use, what it's for, et cetera. So again,
okay.
Yeah, and I would highly recommend anybody on the call or people that you know of that aren't on it, take some time and get that app. It's vital. Nobody can remember everything about all these products, so it's a very valuable resource. And as we all know, there's nothing more important than reading the label.
Okay, thank you for that. Actually, I noted that to go look at myself. So we have a question that was interested to know if that you yourself have been through an FDA on-farm tissue residue investigation, or if you could explain that process and how important those records are to state vets and the FDA.
Well, I'll share this with you. I'll share some real-world experiences, and it'd be the following. You need to have those records so you can document when animals were given the products. I'll just use it for an example. Let's say somebody used one of our products and they came back with a drug residue on it. The first thing that people are going to want to know, the manufacturer, the government, USDA, they're going to want to know when that animal was treated, what she was treated with. So the best thing you can do is have that animal's history there available to you. Just not for the last 30 days. They might say we found a positive test on this animal with this active ingredient. And they're going to want to know when she was, when it was treated, how much it received, how the route of administration was, and what the product was given. Because a lot of the times they'll have the active ingredient, but they want to know the product name. So it's critical you have all that information available because it's going to be asked for. And the other thing that they'll want to know is, you know, if it tells you on that label you're only supposed to give 10 mLs of a product per injection, but the dose of the animal is 20 mLs, you need to give 10 mLs at one site, 10 mLs at another site. And that's very critical because the withdrawal time is based on that 10 mLs given at the site versus if you put 20 mLs at one site, we've just extended a milk and a meat withdrawal. So inadvertently, somebody might think, I'm not going to give 2 shots of 10 mLs at 2 different sites. Please do it, because if you give 20 mLs at one site, that's where you can get into a real problem. So yeah, those records are key, because without them, you have no proof of knowing what happened. But they have your animal with a positive test. And the other thing I would say is, even, this goes back to anybody, you know, if you're buying an animal, try to obtain that animal's medical history with you. Because there are various products out there that if they're given the wrong route of administration or too much at one site, can show positives for a very long time. And there are some out there that can last over 365 days in the animal. They'll show up positive on a residue test. And you might have only owned the animal for 30 days, so keep track of that. You know, if you can get those records when you buy the animal, but definitely note when you obtained it and what your history is on your operation.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
we do have one more. Just looking, it says it's just looking for any tips to maybe have conversation with producers and how to better convince them or help them understand the importance of this, or any specific language for dairy producers.
Well, I would tell everybody, I'll tell this to any dairy producers that are out there, and USDA, Food Safety Inspection Service, FDA, the companies, we're all here to help the dairy producers because we're all in this together with the end result being the consumer. So I think the online training that's available is fabulous, just like this webinar that'll be available for people to go back and look at. I think if I were somebody, I would have my employees sit down, go through this training, and where we've had it on a lot of dairies, they'll just get the employees together. They might have 3 different shifts of employees. Maybe they only have 2. But you get each shift together, go through the 30, 45-minute webinar like this one will be available, and go over the basics with them and stress the importance. And a lot of that is the need for the record keeping. You know, if an animal accidentally got the wrong shot, let somebody know. We don't need a problem. But I think all the various companies that are out there, you know, the organizations, the allied organizations, the FSIS, USDA, FDA, everybody's here to help, and they want the dairy producer to win. And when there is one of those investigations, nobody's accusing anybody of doing anything wrong. They're just trying to gather the facts so they can get a good handle on what could have happened, and so it can be satisfactorily resolved. So that's the importance of stressing those record keeping. And but with the employees, we've done it a lot of different ways. Sitting down, like we say, at a meeting for 45 minutes. But one of the most successful ways I ever saw it done was when the owner of the operation put a note in everybody's check 1 week. And he said, in the next 3 weeks, you need to go to this website and do this training and print out the certificate and bring it to me. And he put that in every employee's paycheck. He let their managers know it. And they came into the offices and had the computers available to them to do this, just so he knew everybody went through this one specific training. And you can do that with all training. But I think the key is we're here to help. Learning is great, and doing things right is great. And that's what everybody wants to succeed.
Okay. And so I was just thinking, I do have one more question. It says, what is the most common mistake dairy producers or employees make related to drug residue prevention?
Well, I won't say this is a mistake, but I think one of the biggest things, I think everybody tries to succeed, but it's the importance of record keeping. We got to have documentation. We just have to. We need to know what vaccines are given. We need to know what antibiotics are given. You know, don't take anything for granted. Write it down and keep those records, because record keeping is vital. It's just, you know, just follow label directions, keep track of the records, and like we say, if something happens on the operation at a drug or a vaccine is inadvertently given wrong or to the wrong animal, let people know, because it's very easy to hold that animal out and not put her milk into the, you know, bulk tank or not send her to slaughter. You'd much rather hold her out than have a problem later on. So I commend everybody for what you're doing now, but I think we just need to go back and take a look at those 10 steps we talked about, the information provided in today's webinar, and all the other educational tools we have, and just make sure we're refocused and on site with what we need to do to prevent residues and avoid them. And record keeping is key.
Thank you, Dr. Stewart, for taking time to answer our questions and for sharing your knowledge with us today. I would like to remind everyone that the next webinar is actually next Thursday, and it is, again, will be at noon Eastern time, and it will be focused on building strong herd health programs. And also, as a reminder, that this webinar and these webinars are part of a larger series and part of a partnership between the National Dairy Farm Program and Merck Animal Health, which has been lasted a little over a year. And this partnership, it is focused on a comprehensive industry-wide approach to employee training and animal care in the dairy industry. And through this partnership, dairy producers across the country have access to tools, resources, and workshops available through the Merck Animal Care Dairy Care Initiative, which is an extension of the Dairy Care 365 Animal Handling Training Program. And so these webinar series further build upon the strong partnership that has been forged in support of the significant efforts of dairy producers to continually improve the care and handling of their animals. And then these 10 webinars, like the one in this series, will cover various topics from building the herd health plans as next week to calf care. And you can find all of these webinars that have previously been recorded here at this short link, as well as a link to the Dairy Care 365 initiative, as well as you can find the Dairy Care 365 link from this web address here. And also, if you're looking to connect with the farm program, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook as well to stay up to date with what is happening in the farm program world. And so we'd like to tell you thank you, and please feel free to contact us if you have any questions, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.